Hello and welcome to Velocity Talks. My name is Christopher Durham, and I'm the president of the Velocity Institute. As always, this is my opportunity to get the cool people from the retail to private brand space in a virtual room and have a conversation and just give you some insights into who they are, what they're doing, the brands they're managing, the stores they work for, you name it. We love to have all cool people going on. So today we have Anne Pan Gooden Whitfield from Lowe's Foods. Anne, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Very good. So before we jump in, let me do the YouTube thing. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you have not subscribed, please click the subscribe button, the like button, make a comment. We'd love to hear from you. It helps us get the word out, and it'll remind you every time we post a video. So we do these once a week, and you'll know what the next great video is, and you can learn a little bit more about private brands. And first of all, we always like to learn about you. So tell us about Anne.
Yes, I have been in retail and advertising for about 25 years. Started with Aaron Rents down in Atlanta, moved to the agency side with National Vision and America's Best. Then was at Arby's for about 4 years. Started my way up 85 to Greenville, South Carolina with Denny's.
Which is where I grew up too. So,
And then moved to Winston-Salem, and I've been with Lowe's Foods for about 8.5 years. Started out as a brand manager for what we call our Lowe's Foods Originals, Bearden, Pick and Prep, Boxcar, Chicken Kitchen, all of those sort of shops in a village, and then took over our whole private brand portfolio about 4 years ago at the very beginning of COVID.
well, that was an exciting time to do stuff, wasn't it?
That was it was actually almost 4 years ago to the day. So in about a month, our worlds were turned upside down.
It's crazy. It almost seems like it wasn't real. Anyway, so for
No.
viewers who aren't familiar with Lowe's Foods, and obviously you're a regional grocery brand, but if I'm in Australia, who's a Lowe's Food? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have 86 stores under our banner. We are opening 5 to 7 more over the next 3 to 5 years. We are Carolina's born and raised since 1956. We are actually opening our first store in Georgia, a conversion
Oh,
from IGA this summer. So looking forward to that. We have a focus on local first. So we talk a lot about being homegrown and raised right here. In local we trust, just really celebrating all of those partnerships that make the Carolinas special.
and I think that's exciting. I know I live in Huntersville, North Carolina, so it's a suburb of Charlotte. And I don't know, probably 10 years ago, Lowe's Foods pulled out of out of the Charlotte region for a couple of years. And then in the last 5 years, you've come back. So there's a concept store right by me, which we love. It's small format. They're doing all sorts of interesting things. And I know you worked a little bit on that.
Yeah, that's really become our incubator for testing. So, which is great. It's close to home, so we can always pop down there and see what's going on. In the Charlotte area specifically, we've got stores coming in Concord as well as Waxhaw. So in the next few years, so really excited to get back into the Charlotte market in full swing.
That's exciting. And for those who are familiar with Charlotte, where I live in Huntersville, to the store she said in Waxhaw might be 40 or 50 minutes apart. It's a big metro area. So it's a lot of cool places to put stores. So talk to me a little bit about your brands and your portfolio and just give us a snapshot of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we actually did a huge brand transformation about 10 years ago. We really looked at the landscape of supermarkets, and we were among just your run of the mill errand, chore, all of these things that we don't want to do with our day, and said, okay, if we're going to break the frame and break the mold, what does that look like? And so starting about 10 years ago really put us on this trajectory to really become an experiential store and really with that guest first focus. And so that's when we started looking at, I think, our first, what we call Lowe's Foods Originals or concept stores within our sort of village of shops, Chicken Kitchen, Bearden, Pick and Prep, Cakery and Boxcar were our first venture, sort of this village of shops mentality. Since then, we've added about 12 more concepts, and then also took a really hard look at our package brands, just our regular store brands, and relaunched those in a really major way as well with our brown bag.
So for those of you who haven't shopped, and this is a store right by me, which is super fun. I kind of see it like walking into a food hall, like an Italy or something, has been matched up with a traditional grocer, and the experience just has been woven together. I don't know how you guys would describe it, but
Yeah, we look at Lowe's Foods as the town of Lowe's Foods, and then all of
Mhm.
these different shops are village of shops essentially. Whereas in a small, especially a small southern town, you would go to your bakery or your butcher or your produce stand or whatever. How do we convey that same feeling within the four walls of a grocery store? Each one of our concepts has its own set of brand guidelines and product specifications and guardrails. And so without getting too schizophrenic, making sure that each one of those shops in our village kind of stays in its own lane.
and what I love about it is it's not just talk, right? A lot of grocers say they do things like that, and you walk in and that's two signs, right? And then their private label looks like old school NBE private label, and it just never really comes to life. Whereas I walk in, I can get a fried chicken sandwich in your chicken brand. I can get a cool branded T-shirt that's hipstery. I want to wear it with a hat, and then the packaging matches it, and it's all one seamless experience. That's more than just lip service. How did you do that?
Yeah. We listen to our guests. We listen to the people who said, I'd love to take my baby to a bar, but I can't. And so we've we've got Bearden, and there
Those
is a
aren't
store
hipsters in their
in
breweries. Love babies and bars. Yeah.
so there is actually a store in Clemens, North Carolina, just a little bit to the west of Winston-Salem, who on Thirsty Thursdays, when we have half price pours, there will be, and this was pre-COVID, and we've pretty much bounced back. There will be 50 to 60 people in the beer den,
Well,
and they're playing cornhole in the cereal aisle and ordering catering trays of wings, and it's just a big party. So I don't know that we anticipated it to that extent, but we love it. Just just the energy as soon as you walk into the store is really incredible.
I can see I worked for Feed Lion, gosh, 15 years ago at the Salisbury headquarters, and we built a concept store in Clemens that so wanted to be what you're doing, and it never was.
We have a lot of work to do in the year ahead. We continue to drive for increased penetration, obviously sales, units, you name it. I think we're all facing the same headwind. So we've all got 2 years of COVID comps, a year of inflation comps.
You're never going to meet those toilet paper numbers.
No, but now the question is, what is normal? And I
Mm.
think that's something that we're all asking ourselves, especially in the private brand world. With COVID, we had supplier changes, and because we are a smaller grocer, again, with only 85, we're the small fish in a big pond for a lot of people, for a lot of co-packers and manufacturers. Where we find our biggest success is where we're, as anybody else, the big fish in the big pond, or sorry, the big fish in the small pond. So that's really working with, again, local manufacturers, some mom and pop that just got their start and really want to dabble in private brand. Some of those places just didn't make it in COVID. So or we were that small fish, and so we got cut out. So that's been a big challenge. We are in the next year, we're continuing to find new suppliers with new capabilities and really dig into our roots and figure out who's going to be the best partner with us for really across the entire portfolio, whether that's our Lowe's Foods brown bag, private label, which is all clean products, all clean ingredients, or with our originals, which again are those village of shops.
And she says brown bag and all clean ingredients. That's a simple thing. Basically, for those who haven't shopped the store, their take on a traditional NB private label has personality and has products that are already better than most people's, right?
It's something that we are digging into again, especially after COVID and how people's shopping habits have changed. We all have sugar and flour, right? Like we've
Yeah.
all got eggs and milk and all of those commodity products. And that really is your price play. You've got to have it. But that might be a different shopper than we have hot honeys and hot sauces and steak sauces and hydroponic lettuces and all of those things, which is really more of a little bit premium consumer. How do you talk to both? We all only have a certain amount of bandwidth in our marketing channels. So, how do we talk to everybody to get the right message?
So I always like to ask about the future. And I tell people use your crystal ball for the private brand industry. What does 5 years from now look like? What's the potential? Not what have we been, but what could we be?
I think for us, we've got to figure out how to walk that fine line. We always lean into our differentiators. I think we have to walk that fine line between early adopters. We are a safe place for our guests to experiment with flavors, with ingredients, those sorts of things, and we try to stay on the front end of those trends. But we also all have minimums and expiration dates and all of those
Yeah.
things, trying to figure out that balance of new innovative products, but also making sure that they're products that our guests want. I think that in order to be different from because we're all trying to be different from even national brands so that
Sure.
we're providing something that our guests can't get anywhere else. So I think we're going to continue to see flavor trends in the private brand world. I think we're going to see even more penetration with private brand as we are providing our guests and our shoppers with just differentiated products. I think it's going to be a race to see who can get the cool new products. I think Trader Joe's probably does the best job at that right now.
I don't think
And we're
anybody would
all
argue with
trying to
that.
be, and I think we're all trying to be fast followers and really keep our eye on what the trends are out west. And so by the time they come east, that we're ready to capture that market.
It's a dramatic shift for particular grocers who are used to managing commodities and their pay plans and their bonus structures and all that are built one way to still have to sell 5 pounds of flour or a pound of pasta or whatever. And that can stay the way it's always been. But the trendy, the new, the all of that other stuff really is more like a fashion buy, right? It's going to come in and out. There's going to be markdowns. It's just life. So how do you build that corporate culture that encourages both sides?
Yeah. And I think with our Huntersville concept store, we have the fail fast, fail often mentality. That doesn't work for the whole chain and for thousands of products. So what are those calculated risks that we feel like we can really take and then recoup on the other side?
I know I've seen the sausage program in that store is really nice. That whole kind of bacon, sausage, meats, the fresh stuff,
Yeah.
brand you got.
Yep.
But occasionally I've been in there and seen some flavors and went, and I'm adventurous, so I just buy it. And so far I haven't disliked anything. I've liked some more than others, but I haven't disliked anything. So I'm like, sure, why not?
Yeah, and I think we're a brand. Once we did this brand transformation, we said, okay, so how are we going to what are our guardrails going to be that we can really keep our true north? And we came up with brand values. If you've seen any of our advertising, I hope you've seen at least one,
Yeah.
but really homegrown that we've talked about, inspirational. So we know our guests are stuck in ruts, whether it's with recipes or trying new flavors, whatever it is. So how do we inspire them? Being passionate in everything we do is our third value. Wit. We love doing, whether you've seen our billboards, our marketing, we love a good pun. We really do. And it's just something to make somebody smile. And then provocative of something that we probably talk most about. And that's really being thought provoking. How do we take the standard and just break it there again with some high risk, high reward?
So I think basically we're done. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Or and then I'll do the last five questions.
I think that's it. I appreciate you covering clean ingredients because that's a task.
You realize basically right now it's you guys, Target and Sam's Club, and that's it. It's doing it. Everybody else has a
Yeah.
little clean ingredient line over here. Like we have 12
And we
products.
looked, we really, we, when we first launched our brown bag, it was going to be everything. And then we took another look at, again, trends and what our guests were saying. And a lot of people, whether you're gluten free or celiac or just looking for something without preservatives, nobody has time to read labels
Yeah.
anymore. Yes, there are apps and everything else that you can do, but how do we make it easier for our guests to just say, okay, it's got the brown bag, I'm going to take it? So, in that, we've had a lot of success, especially with hospital partnerships and a couple of other things to be able to say all they have to look for is the brown bag and that there's no preservatives or artificial preservatives, artificial sweet, artificial flavors, colors, all of those things. So it's easy for people to shop that way.
I'll tell you, I think within 5 years, the entire industry will be there and that'll just be the standards. And you're just ahead of the curve on it, which is great.
And
Very
that's
good.
where we talk about top co brands. And
Mhm.
that's where we are never going to make clean sugar cereal. Like it's
Mhm.
just your Lucky Charms are light years away from being clean. So that's where we have to lean into some of those top co brands for to supplement our brown bag on.
Which I think is a smart way to do it, honestly. And leveraging top code gives you some volume places where you wouldn't normally be able to get it, probably in HBC or something else.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
it's a good way to do it. Very good. Thank you. So we always end with the same five questions. So question number one, what's your favorite
Okay.
word?
Adventure. And as we talked before, I really didn't have a good one, but as we're talking and I'm thinking about just life and what brings me joy, it's really adventure, whether it's trying out a new food or wine or visiting a new place. There's something about excitement and out of the ordinary that kind of is coupled with adventure.
I love it. Are you a more artistic or a more mathematic person?
Artistic. They don't like me in the numbers. I can do them, but I don't like them.
Break out into hives when spreadsheets are opened. Yes, I'm with
I
you. Number three, if you could share a meal with anyone, past or present, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I think that the literal Sunday school answer would be Jesus. I think that'd be great, but I'd really love to see my grandmother
Yeah,
and
me too.
just
I'm
a
with you.
glass of wine and share stories.
I would like to cook with my grandma again. So there's a couple of recipes
Yeah.
I never learned that I really wish I had.
I have a couple from mine, and it will be 2 tablespoons of hot sauce, but then there's no hot sauce anywhere in the directions, or 1 can of corn up in the or vice versa. There's a mention of something in the directions, but it's not up top. And so
Yeah.
we're all left guessing, how do you make the mac and cheese? Because it's never
Yeah.
been as good.
No, and it probably never will be. That's okay.
No,
You keep trying. Oh, let's see here. Number four, what profession other than your own would you have liked to have attended?
people laugh at this one, but it's been my stable answer for a long time. I would love to name the nail colors for OPI. I think that would be a blast.
So when I worked for Lowe's Home Improvement as well, so which if anybody knows the history, Lowe's Home Improvement and Lowe's Foods are actually connected in the distant past by the same family.
Way back.
And as part of my job, I ended up naming 1,000 ceiling fans and curtain colors, and which is fun the first year. The fifth
Right.
year, there's nothing left.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yet Sherwin Williams would be my other one. I think they're not only their paint colors, but also I love their commercials. I think their spots are with all the paint chips kind of forming the hot air balloons and everything else. I've always loved that.
Yeah, it's fabulous. So, question number 5, if you could speak to yourself when you began your career, what advice would you give yourself?
Slow down.
Why?
I think that's the where especially in the beginning of our careers, we're so hungry and so ready to prove ourselves that I think we sometimes miss the opportunity to learn. And so I think that would be probably my biggest piece of advice is just slow down, take a breath, soak it in because that's really what will benefit you later in your career, especially as you are mentoring young folks.
Great piece of advice. Thank you very much. So, we always end up talking a little bit about what we have going on because, it's my show and I get to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
of course.
Coming up, we have um, our second virtual event. So it's Velocity Institute's Innovate 2024. It's product development, innovation, manufacturing, absolutely free virtual events, 2 hours online. It is March 27th. And then in May, we'll have our, I never know the number, 7th or 8th annual Velocity Conference. And we'll once again be here in Charlotte. Anne's been before. Hopefully
I'll
she'll
be
join
there.
us again.
Absolutely.
Um, Lots of great speakers announced already, and we're continuing to look for speakers. Tickets are on sale right now. Retailers are free. Everybody else can actually get them at early bird rate right now. It's $200 off, so it's $799. We'll be giving out Vertex Awards at the conference as well. And then 2 weeks later, I'll be in Amsterdam giving away the Vertex Awards to the other side of the world. We usually have a couple hundred people that come get trophies. People love to get trophies. 10 events throughout the year. So go to velocityinstitute.org and check it all out. We'd love to have you all be a part of it. Thank you very much, Aaron.